Hi, friends. Welcome back to Not Again, the podcast that brings college level analysis to preschool level content. I'm one of your hosts, Rebecca.
I'm your other host, Alan.
And we're going to talk about The Good Dinosaur. Don't watch it.
We didn't like this movie.
Nobody liked this movie. I hope that if you are listening to this right now, you haven't seen it. Just listen to us talk about it. Don't watch it. It's bad.
It has bad messages and bad lessons.
And bad writing and anyway.
And bad jokes.
So, yeah, anyway, we can do that segment up front. That whole, when I ask you, hey, would you encourage parents to have their kids watch this or watch this with their kids? I would say no. But here's the thing. Our kid watches it because it has dinosaurs in it.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing with that one.
Yeah, it's terrible, but Warren likes dinosaurs. Although he's back on Wall-E lately, but, Anyway, we had COVID. That was fun.
Yeah, we were pretty taken out by it. I was pretty tired.
Yeah.
That was my major symptom, was just being dead to the world.
I mean, I'm always tired, so I didn't really notice that, but the out of breath thing, yeah. Anyway, so obviously we're just a little behind on recording, and you're going to hear this probably several weeks after we record it, because we want to, get some episodes in the can. Isn't that what they say in the biz? Before we,
this non-for-profit biz.
Yes, but in the biz, capital T, capital B, they say something about getting stuff in a can. Probably because film used to come in canisters or something. Who knows? Anyway, what other updates do we have of our lives? Have we done anything with our life?
No, we've done nothing with our lives.
Okay, I'm back officially from glass school. So, yeah. Okay, yeah, no, life is boring. Okay, sounds good. I just wanted to make sure. No, nothing here. The one thing I will say, I have my notes up now, is I saw this movie as a kind of my first and only double feature with my friend Adrian. I don't remember where we were, but maybe Philadelphia. I don't know. Maybe this is when I visited him all those years ago. I would have to look up when this movie came out. Doesn't matter. I remember being shocked and surprised to find that Pixar had released a movie, because usually that's a big deal. And you hear about it and see trailers and stuff. And we just wandered into the movie theater and went, Pixar has a new movie? And so we bought tickets for that. And then we bought tickets for the Peanuts movie that came out at the same time. And let's just say when we got out of The Good Dinosaur, we were like, the Peanuts movie better be good. So we were just like, oh, please let this cleanse our palate. And then the Peanuts movie was awesome. Full of nostalgia for us. That was great. But
yeah, we can talk about the Peanuts movie at some point too. But
oh yeah, because Warren does watch
that. But that one's a cute.
Yeah, it's not much to say. I mean,
it's not much to
really
say
cute.
about it. It's just a cute movie.
Yeah. So anyway, we double featured it, and we were just like, what did we just watch? So, The Good Dinosaur. The opening of the movie is probably one of the very few things I like about it, other than the animation. This clearly, to me, seemed to be like Pixar stretching their animation, not budget or wings, but flexing the muscles, the animation muscles, because the backgrounds and the environments look photorealistic, which I'll get to this later or right now. It almost makes the dinosaurs look worse.
Yeah, because they're of a style. They're very cartoony.
Yes,
and then especially shows up in that weird scene when they're kind of tripping.
Yeah,
and we'll talk about that where it gets even worse. But they do seem disjointed. And I know the way these projects work is there are different groups, and there's different groups of people working on, mountain flowers versus dinosaur face.
Yeah,
and
but
so
still,
it doesn't match up.
Yeah,
somebody had to be in charge of that, making things work together, and they didn't.
No, not at all. And we'll talk more about that when I get to it in my notes. But the environments, at least, I mean, there's one scene at the very beginning where one of the dinosaurs is watering corn, just go with it. And there's a brief scene of just water hitting corn that looks like it was just filmed, not animated. And then it cuts to the dinosaur and you're like, ugh. Anyway, so the opening is basically you kind of follow this meteor as it heads towards Earth, and you cut to the dinosaurs looking up at the sky, and they see it like a big fireball approaching. And then you see this meteor basically shoot right past Earth. And the dinosaurs wait a beat, and then they just kind of go back to doing what they were doing. And I kind of like that it's like it opens up with this what if. But apparently, according to this movie, there's a time jump, right? So if the dinosaurs had never died, they would have stayed exactly the same, but also developed agriculture.
It's just like, just go with it because they want talking dinosaurs, but like the dinosaurs aren't evolving prefrontal cortexes because of time.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's not how evolution works. Like, we have the same problem as the Cars episode. It's like all of the things that they show them doing, they can't do. They don't have hands, let alone thumbs. So they have like built structures and all this stuff and like farmland. And it's like some of it I could see, like you stick your tail in the ground and you're hoeing the ground. That works.
There's like animal husbandry. They have like chickens almost.
Yes, they have dinosaur chickens. So the dinosaurs, and you bring up a point kind of accidentally, I guess we'll say, which is because we have been told by this movie that they have evolved mentally, if not physically, are we supposed to believe they're actually speaking English? Like if they've developed human agriculture techniques, are we supposed to believe that they also developed language? So is the language diegetic? This is not even in my notes. Or are they doing dinosaur grunts and growls? Like, it's hard to say.
Right. Yeah, so it's like in movies when there's like dogs talking to each other, like they say it's English, but it's really just like, oh, that's dog communication, like shorthand for dog communication. Is this dinosaur communication, or is it like, no, because it seems like they really just, it seems like they really just have a language, a full language, because they talk to other dinosaurs and just communicate full and completely.
They have, whether it's dinosaur language or not, I guess doesn't really matter. It was just something to think about. But basically they have communication, and they have chickens, and they have farms, and sure. But I feel disappointed just the same, because this is a big what if, right? The big what if of what if dinosaurs never went extinct. I feel like there are so many different stories that you could develop with just that one what if, that one hypothetical. And the one that they landed on was Old Yeller, but with dinosaurs.
Yeah, or like Little House on the Prairie, because they're like all out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, caveat, I've never seen Old Yeller.
Just like one family in the wilderness. Yeah, it's okay. We're gonna have people and dinosaurs together. That was obviously the pitch meeting because they wanted the kid and the dinosaur to be friends.
Yes, they wanted. So this was their big idea. Let's have that boy and his dog story, but instead of the boy will be a dinosaur, and the dog part will be played by a human.
By the boy, ha ha ha!
Wow.
Yeah, but it's just like so many weird choices were made about like dinosaur corn farming and cattle rustling that just came from seemingly nowhere. And it's not like a burst of creativity. It really seems just like throwing at the wall to see what sticks. Like it's not like it's all ties together into a theme or a metaphor or anything. It's just like,
there's
why
dinosaurs
not?
Here.
Yeah.
Like, I think that it would be just such an actually interesting thought experiment to try to follow the trajectory of evolution. We have little hints of it because of birds and, I don't know, crocodiles. They've just been the same for 2 billion years, right? You know, like trying to think about what would happen if dinosaurs had been allowed to live and evolve. Get Jeff Goldblum in there talking about it or whatever. But instead, they just went, no, they're still exactly as they are. But now they have Southern accents. And it's like, okay, well, I feel like you kind of dropped the ball on the whole hypothetical positing some stuff situation.
Yeah, it's almost like the hypothetical bit is extras, superfluous, because like they don't need anything to follow from the hypothetical because they're just doing whatever they feel like. It doesn't have an internal logic, so they don't need like a starting point to jump off from saying, what if this happened? What if the meteor never struck Earth? Because then nothing ties back to that. It's like nothing just makes sense.
Yeah, like honestly, if they'd taken that beginning scene out and just started with like, hey, here are some dinosaur farmers, not much would have changed. People would have jumped on board. It's a kid's movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like it's just I'm dinosaur
agreeing,
farmers, there's kids, there's humans as well. Have fun.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
that's
you
true.
don't need to try to tie this into a logical framework.
Yeah, you don't have to justify. Like, we want dinosaur farmers. Okay,
Cool.
but like, what if people ask why the dinosaurs are farmers? Oh no,
Because it's a cartoon.
yes, like yeah, it's a cartoon. We got it. Like anyway. So so I wrote in my notes that this particular interpretation of the hypothetical is it's not much. The next note I have is a coming of age story that's been done a million times, but now it's with dinosaurs. Yeah, so a lot of this movie is it's blank, but with dinosaurs. So it's a boy and his dog, but with dinosaurs, and it's Little House on the Prairie, but with dinosaurs. And now we also have the coming of age story of a young lad, but with dinosaurs.
Yeah, and kid gets over his, childhood trauma to become stronger. Well, I guess that's coming of age. I don't know, whatever. But like, yeah, it's not a lot original to it other than just what the character models are.
Yeah. So anyway, so it opens up with this farmer dinosaur. I'm just gonna laugh saying that. His wife, farmer dinosaur wife, because dinosaurs obviously evolved agriculture and monogamous relationships, calls and is like, hey, it's time for our eggs to hatch. And so he goes in and we get treated to this view of 3 eggs. 2 of them are, I guess, what I'd call normal sized, only because the third one is enormous. And I wrote, that musta hurt. I really wrote musta, like M-U-S-T-A. That musta hurt because it's enormous. And so relatively, we can tell the other 2 eggs are what should have been normal sized. And the first egg hatches, and it's the girl dinosaur, and her name is Libby. Doesn't matter. She has no part in this movie. And the second egg hatches, and it's the boy dinosaur, and that's Buck. And his name doesn't matter because he doesn't have a part in this movie. And the third egg starts hatching, and the dad is like, wow.
It's going to be the biggest, strongest dinosaur ever. Wow.
And then nobody saw this coming. The egg hatches and cracks, and inside is the teeny tiny runt of the litter, Arlo, our protagonist. And he is scared of everything because he's very small. And I will gently touch on this here, as we have done with Darla from Finding Nemo, as we have done in so many other ways. Obviously, this is an allegory of some sort, perhaps for premature birth, perhaps for physical disability. And as always, how they handle it is important. Are you being tactful about it, or are you just like, ha ha, he's small?
Yeah, they're kind of playing it up for laughs, I guess, or just, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, like, this does like, people who look or act, quote, different, and again, that I'm saying that with all kinds of caveats and stuff, do get bullied, even by their own family. Like, it does happen, but how much is it contributing to this story? There's just not much story to analyze, because as we'll get to this, there's just not much story. It's not like I wrote, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to say, I wrote at the T-Rex, they're at a campfire with Anna Paquin T-Rex and Sam Elliott T-Rex and some third actor who is probably famous, but I don't remember who they are. And it hit me that this movie is boring. Like, it's just boring. I'm just, my eyes are glazing over. Like, it just drags in the middle because they had this idea of like, what if dinosaurs, but like boy and his dog coming of age, what is it, call to adventure, like hero's journey sort of thing.
Also homeward bound.
Yeah, exactly. But they were like, but how? And one of the things that I noted was like, this is almost the Odyssey. You have somebody lost trying to get home to their family, and it hit me that would have been so much better. Like, if you're going to do blank but with dinosaurs instead, I would have much rather seen the Odyssey, playing around with dinosaur witchcraft and dinosaur, blind seers and stuff like that.
That makes a lot more sense because, like, there you're kind of moving from set piece to set piece and you're kind of having like little mini adventures. But with this one, the impetus gets lost in the middle. Like what his immediate task is not known,
right,
for a lot of it, and so it's just sort of like, well, what's happening next? Well, anything and nothing is happening next.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on exactly what I wrote in my notes, which is the Odyssey is very similar in that it's got very little connective tissue. There isn't one overarching antagonist in the Odyssey, and while in this movie they introduce some pretty weird antagonists, there isn't really an overarching antagonist for this either. But that's what like a quest or journey is it's kind of like the antagonist is overcoming in general. Like you, the hero, have to overcome obstacles and be stronger than they are and more determined than they are, as they beat back against you and against your will. And so we have that, but it's lame. Like the Odyssey is an epic. It's got monsters and witchcraft and gods and romance. And this is just lame. It's just like a tiny brontosaurus kind of wandering around being like, oh man, I want to go home. I miss my family that always bullies me. And it's like, okay, well.
Yeah, he doesn't really have like a good plan, really.
He's just like, I got to find that mountain my dad pointed out one time. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So we got Buck, Libby, and Arlo. And he is supposed to look cute when he's a baby. He doesn't. He just kind of looks... we already talked. The dinosaurs don't look good. I wrote Arlo is scared of the dinosaur chickens. He is. Like, he's scared of everything. That's his, like, cross to bear, burden to overcome, personality flaw, whatever. And that ties into we're bringing this back, folks. It's been a while. A bad dinosaur parenting alert. It's only bad dinosaur parenting because that's how Pixar did this. It was like, remember to add dinosaur to everything. So I'm adding dinosaur to this because he has parents who are dinosaurs and it doesn't really matter. So they have a silo. I don't...
like a grain silo.
Yeah, it's for corn, right? They're storing their corn there. And I have some exact quotes here. I haven't had those in a while. I know I did that with our Go-Go Corey Carson episodes, but I do have exact quotes here. The dad dinosaur, whom I'm going to call Dad Dinosaur, even though I think they call the dad and mom Mama and Papa or whatever. But the dad dinosaur says, first he sticks his foot. I was going to say paw. And I was like, nope, foot. We'll say foot. Hey, in Land Before Time, the better dinosaur movies, where stuff actually happened, they named the protagonist Littlefoot. So therefore, it must be feet. Okay. Feet. So he sticks his foot in some mud and makes a dinosaur footprint on the side of the silo. And then his dino wife does the same. Another good thing with Dino Wife is the show Dinosaurs with, not the mama and stuff like that. Also good. Anyway, at this point, I do have to point out that mud is not paint. Mud is mud, and it will wash off pretty quickly. But they treat it like paint because it just stays there for years. And then the dad says to his 3 children, you gotta earn your mark by doing something big or bigger than yourself. And he says, I can't wait to see it. And that is just death foreshadowing all over. He's just like, I'm really, really hoping to see. I can't wait to see my kids grow up, says soon to be dead dad dinosaur.
Okay, I really need to point something out here.
Sure.
Because this is an award he's awarding to himself.
Sorry. And his wife.
He's decided that what he did was awesome. And
kids.
He's going to tell his kids about it.
Yeah.
And so like this is definitely a parenting because he's doing this if for no other reason than to instill this be bigger than yourself thing in his children, because otherwise, again, he's just like standing with a muddy paw going like, yeah, I'm great.
Well, so here's the thing. So there's a couple things to point out. One is he is perfectly aware that he has a son who is like literally little. And so like he's like, I feel like the writers were really trying to hammer this home.
Yeah.
Like, say big a lot because he's little. And we see that this is going to be an obstacle for him. And here's the thing. This kind of works as an explanation. He's not saying like all of you must do great feats of strength or whatever. And so, but the thing is that he's just kind of gives a vague, like, do something big or bigger than yourself. And that's fine if he really like pulled Arlo aside, especially when Arlo starts struggling because he has this visual just sitting there every day smacking him in the face with the fact that he can't do it. If he, because obviously Buck and Libby immediately make their marks. If his dad had pulled him aside and said, when I said bigger than yourself, I mean, Libby did something that was impressive for Libby and Buck did something that was impressive for Buck, and everybody has different skills. So stop trying to live up to them and just live up to your, something like that. Like, that would be fine. But he basically just says, like, you got to do something that's really cool. And then, like, he wanders off. And, like, Arlo's like, man, I really wish I was good enough for my dad, but only my older siblings are. Or I guess bigger siblings because they were born essentially the same time. Buck and Libby, they got their marks up there. I don't, and I just have to keep staring at this wall, knowing I'm not good enough in my father's eyes. You know, it's bad parenting.
Look, silos are impressive. I get it. But like, it's just like that's like a task that Arlo probably could have done or helped with. It's like put the bricks on each other. Like it's just a lot, not like bigger than yourself. Anyway, I'm saying that like the Papa's dinosaur task was kind of stupid.
And who's he to judge?
He made a silo.
Get a committee out.
He probably got it from IKEA anyway.
Dinosaur IKEA. Now that I would also watch. But like he should get a committee to judge his children's big acts to make sure that, you know, there's an impartial judge in there somewhere. But anyway, the dad continually tries to bond with Arlo, and he like takes him out at night, and there's a very pretty scene where like it's all dark and Arlo again is scared because his one personality trait is scared. He is somehow more obnoxious than Bella Swan, the other character I can think of who only has one personality trait. I don't even know how that's possible. I would also watch Dinosaur Twilight, as long as we're listing things that I would rather watch than this movie. But so it's all dark, and then his father shows him that there are fireflies in the grass, and it's very pretty, right? They're running through the grass, and you see like patterns of light coming, you know, that's good. Again, the animation, great. And then the dad just kind of like sits Arlo down and is like, and now here's the lesson of the movie. So I can't even really say this because it was just given to me, but for the record, I found a lesson. And
you found it when it was shoved down.
Yeah, I found it in that like somebody smacked me in the face and went, "Hey, here it is." But yeah, so he says, and this is again another direct quote: "Sometimes you got to go through your fear to see the beauty on the other side." And it's like, clearly this is what they're trying to go for. And I get that like the meat and potatoes of that is like face your fears. But like I don't even really get what that means, Dad Dinosaur. Like the beauty on the other side of my fear? What? Like sometimes I'm just scared of stuff and like I can get through it, but what's the beauty part? Like there just happened to be fireflies there, and yeah, they're beautiful, and he was scared of the dark until they showed up, and that's great. But I don't think that's really applicable to most of life or most of fears. And so it's like kind of a nothing burger of a lesson.
Yeah, and as we'll point out as this goes on, there's a lot of peril in this movie, and it's not necessarily a great thing. Like it's not like the peril has a big payoff. It's just like there is peril.
Yeah, he just goes home.
Yeah.
Like, there's no beauty on the other end of it, really. It's
a home that he already appreciates. It's not like he hates his home and he learns that he loves it.
Yeah, he still misses them, even though 2 out of 3 of the remaining live parts of his family have been cruel to him this entire.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He's just like, hey, I made it home. Cool. There's no beauty on the other side of that.
There's no beauty on the other side of it.
You know, when you left, your mother was telling you your family's going to starve because you're not harvesting enough corn. I don't know if that changed. Maybe you got home and found out that you're not going to make it through the winter.
Yeah.
So like, I don't really know what that means, Dad Dinosaur. And by the way, I got major Simba and Mufasa vibes from that scene. Literally, there's a scene in The Lion King where Simba and Mufasa are frolicking at night with like bright twinkly lights, in this case stars, in the background. And this was a scene of Dad Dinosaur and Son Dinosaur frolicking at night with a bunch of twinkly lights. I was just like, I don't know, this feels a little ripped off. But they're really hammering home that Arlo loves his dad and the dad loves Arlo, because obviously the dad's gonna die. So they were like, hey, we'll keep the mom alive this time. And it's like, great, but the mom is a set piece. She has no personality and no bearing on her children's lives. So her being alive, she might as well be dead. Who cares? Like you know what I mean? What? Tell me one thing you remember about the mom dinosaur.
Boo, no.
Like, I know she's played by a famous woman, Frances McDormand, I think is her name. But like, she's just there. Like, a lot of people think that it's good enough if they have female types, I guess in this case, because it's a dinosaur, not a woman, in your movie or show. But if they're just there and kind of being treated as part of the background, then you're still not feminist. Try harder. Like, at least give the mom a personality trait. Have her earn her mark on the silo. Have her wrangle a chicken or something. But she's just there. She's just there to be sad.
She's there to be sad, and she's there to, like, worry, which is, again, like a problematic thing. Problematic, like, movie trait.
Yeah. And then, like, if you're going to have Arlo be, like, that desperate to get back home, at least have a moment, like, they have plenty of scenes where he gets bullied by his siblings, or at least by Buck. But, like, have at least one moment where they're like, yeah, but you're still our family, Arlo. Like, something, where he gets into real trouble and Buck and Libby are there to stop,
Actually
something.
help him, yeah. Because they do love him. Yeah, honestly, halfway through this movie, there was still the possibility that the lesson would be, like, the real family is the one you find.
Yeah.
You learn, like, you find Spot and Spot's family and the Triceratops you meet along the way and the T-Rexes you meet along the way, and like these people, like you build a family, and this is a theme in a lot of movies when you have kind of like
found family.
You're in a kind of an abusive situation, or you're in where they don't understand you or your identity, and
your family's just dead,
or your family's just dead, and you
build your own.
You build your own, and then you find that it's just as legitimate.
Yeah, but because they're following
and
tropes,
maybe better than your what you would have had anyways, or whatever.
But they're following established tropes for the boy and his dog / like coming of age stories, so they can't really do that. And I feel like they just tied themselves down to this story, and they should not have. We haven't actually gotten off the farm yet, though, so I should probably move on. Okay, so the dad figures out that Arlo is struggling to make his mark. Again, quite literal there, just like smacking you in the face. Like, usually people say make your mark, they obviously mean metaphorically, but in this case it's just literally he wants to put his footprint on a thing. And so instead of pulling him aside and having that talk I was telling you about, like, just like, hey, try to be the best you can be, not the best you think that I want or the best that your siblings are, you. Instead of doing that, he just tries to like manufacture ways in which Arlo can earn his mark. And so, and that doesn't count. Like that, you're just setting him up. You're like, oh, okay, clearly you need me to do this for you. And then that doesn't count. Anyway, so in this case, a critter has been getting into their silo and he wants Arlo to bash it to death with a club. And so he's like, go do that. And the critter, and this is where we get our like, oh, cool, I see. It's a play on this. The critter's a human or caveman. It's a young caveman. Cave boy. And Arlo can't bring himself to smash its head in, and it escapes.
Well, he lets it free on purpose.
More or less on purpose, yeah. He can't bring himself to beat it to death. And then his dad is like, oh my God, you let it go. Or, oh my dinosaur God, you let it go. And Arlo's like, I was scared of it. And he's like, I'm so tired of you being scared, Arlo. Come on. Let's go chase it down now. And like, he forces terrified Arlo, to like leave the safety of his home and like traverse a mountain trail while a storm is clearly closing in on them. And obviously the storm represents inner turmoil, but also, and foreshadows death, but also is just dangerous. And this is probably the first time I have seen a parent in any of the movies we've talked about or shows we talked about being aware of their bad parenting. Because, like, he is just pushing on, and then Arlo's trying to keep up because he wants his father's love so badly, and he trips and falls and, like, hurts his leg, and the dad, like, turns around and looks at him and realizes his son is limping due to his stubbornness and determination to have him, like, do this one task, and you see that regret in his eyes of, like, oh, I caused this, like, shoot, that's bad. So at least he realized it. So he says, let's turn around and go home, but then the storm comes and the river floods and no more Daddy Dino. Then like his mom is like, oh no, winter is coming. Oh, I can't say that, it's copyrighted, corn, Arlo, corn. And Arlo comes to blame this cave boy child for the death of his father, even though I have to say, Arlo, it really is your dad's fault. Like, it was nighttime already, a storm was coming in, and he was like, you have to go do this task right now. Out of anger, he decided that, and he died. And like, look, I wasn't wishing death upon this dad dinosaur or whatever, but like, it was just his dad's fault.
I would like to point out that at this point that Arlo's fears are largely justified. This is a cruel world that we live in, as we will learn as things go on. There are many, many dangers. This is not, this is not the being afraid to go down the slide at the playground. This is a real death-filled, peril-filled, pterodactyl teeth world that he lives in. And
this is Marlin from Finding Nemo all over again.
Yeah.
You are prey. There are predators out there. You have every reason to be afraid. Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, and your father, who is huge and strong, is not immune from this cruel world. And so maybe a little caution is in order.
Yeah, and so and again, like the face your fears lesson comes back in that, like, it's like Arlo is scared of everything, and clearly his thing to overcome is he has to be braver, but like you said, caution might be more necessary when you are a teeny tiny dinosaur in a world of wackadoodle pterodactyl predators. I was going to say T-Rexes, but the T-Rexes in this apparently only eat their dinosaur cattle because everyone loves T-Rexes, so you can't make them the bad guy because they're so popular as dinosaurs. But you know what I mean? Yeah. So yes, it's the Marlin problem in Finding Nemo of like, yeah, he's scared of everything, but he's also a tiny fish in the ocean. And he should be. Like he's there's danger at every turn. Remember when his wife got eaten? So yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. We are approaching a time when we could cut ourselves off. This is going to be our mini series on the Good Dinosaur, as we do with movies. We do mini series. But let me see if we can do like maybe one more, and then we'll wrap up until next time. I wonder why it was here that. Oh, okay. So I wrote here that watching the poor, sad dinosaur mom struggle under a pile of corn makes me wish that this was the Dinosaur Odyssey and not Dinosaur Old Yeller. Again, have never seen Old Yeller. And I think the reason was that in that moment, she reminded me so much of Penelope. Her struggling to continue to live when she's lost her husband, it just had Penelope vibes to me. So I guess that's why I wrote it then. But yeah, she's just like, Arlo, we gotta survive the winter. And then, yeah, so I think we'll end it here. Is just we talked about the contrast between the beautiful environments and then the cartoony dinosaurs. But to me, and you can certainly weigh in on this, that point is never driven home harder than when the dinosaurs get wet. Like at some point, yeah, so Arlo like finds the critter again and chases him, and they both fall into a river. And Arlo comes out of that river, and his weird, rubbery, cartoony skin has very realistic water sheen on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, the water is so realistic, and the dinosaur is so not. It's like these two things should not be together at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It'd be like if Wile E. Coyote fell off the cliff and there was like real blood.
Yeah, I guess. It's just like, wait, one of these things does not belong. And it's like, good for you, animators, that you could make that water look so real, but it looks like a dinosaur made out of those like little bouncy balls that you used to get at carnivals and stuff. Yeah. Like, and it just looks gross. I don't know, like it's almost Uncanny Valley-esque to me, like to see that.
It's the where the two worlds come together. Yes. Where the almost photorealism when it comes to like water and environment and flowers and trees and clouds,
yeah.
And then
goofball dinosaur
looks a little bit like somebody in a suit, you know, like
yes. It looks like two people who went to a Halloween party where one of them was the front of the dinosaur and the other was the back. Yeah. So, and I guess I'll wrap up by saying, like, I always give credit where credit's due if I can, when I'm not feeling too petty. And I guess I do feel very petty about this movie, but the acting is fine. Obviously, we always give props to the animators. Animation is not easy, and they did an amazing job. Even with the cartoony dinosaurs, like, that's not easy, right? But also the acting is fine. Like, I have no complaints about the voice acting, the casting, any of that. So, yay. Like, one or two things done right. Okay, so for now, that will be part 1. I'm going to guess part 2 and 3 are coming up, but at least part 2 will come up. Again, we are recording probably well in advance of when you're actually hearing this, so I can't really tell you, like, oh, have a good Valentine's Day, because maybe it will be after Valentine's Day when you hear this. But
how about all those current world events? Whoa.
Oh, and did you see that celebrity last week?
Oh, my.
They did the thing.
And that old one, is no longer with us. Sad.
Yes, very sad. You can find us on Twitter at NotAgainPod if you want to say stuff about dinosaurs, or what movie that already exists would you like to see redone with dinosaurs instead of people? Let us know. You can find me on Twitter doing my podcast reviews at BexGoose. That's BEXGOOS. And I'll add on that I started an Instagram for my glass art. That's where I was for a semester last year, was doing glass art school, and that is at the Glass Goose on Instagram, but don't put an E on the end of goose because our last name doesn't have an E on the end. We're not doing much else right now because we're trying to, recover from COVID. We do have support sites. We have a Patreon. We have a Buy Me a Coffee and a Ko-fi and all of that stuff. And all of the links to all of the things that we do and have been and have seen are in the description of this episode. So thank you for listening. Thank you for existing. And thank you for helping us to maintain our marbles for just one more week. We will see you with part 2 of the Good Dinosaur analysis next week. Until then, I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Alan.
Bye, friends.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, friends. Welcome back to Not Again, the college that brings college. The college that.
The college. We're a college now.
Shut up.
Do it again.